I don't enjoy it. It's necessary. It's necessary. So every morning I wake up, it's not just about working out, but for me, working out has been a very big part of my mental growth. So for me, if I am not challenging myself every day, and I swear to God, people will not believe it. I was over almost 300 pounds twice in my life. A person that does that twice in his life does not enjoy cardiovascular activity. So people can put anything they want to in their head. I did realize one thing. The things I don't enjoy that I still do, that's where growth is at. And that's, for me, the only place growth is at, is in that very uncomfortable zone. So I have to visit it every single day. I realized at a young age how to change myself was through discipline. In the military, didn't teach me that. It was something I realized I had zero discipline, zero self-discipline. And I realized I have to start developing this. And I started really because I was horrible at reading and I was horrible at writing. I have so many learning disabilities, it's not even funny. So I just sit down at the table and spend so much time in this, reading and writing and learning. And that kind of translated over to my self-discipline with working out. So that's where it started. I started when I was about 16 years old and said, well, I'm a fourth grade reading level. Let me go ahead now and start really focusing because I'm not gonna get in the military and I gotta pass the test. So that's where it started for me. Each thing that is wrong with you has to be a focal point. You can't look at this gigantic list and say, I gotta change all this, my God, this is crazy. No, you take off the first one, I wanna be smarter. For me, that was my thing. I have to become more intelligent. I have such a severe learning disability. I had to now get that one thing and then strategize in that one problem. How can I do this? I'm not gonna learn like you. I'm not gonna learn like anybody else. How am I gonna figure this out? So I then figured out, okay, where are my strengths here? Where are my weaknesses in learning? All right, man, how am I gonna do this? And I figured out a way to do it by just strategizing. So how I learn to this day, if I have a big manual to study, I will have to get a bunch of spiral notebooks from the daggone store, and each page, I have to write each page out, maybe 10 times. So there was a 1,000-page dive manual that I got 18 months before I went to dive school. Most people, I'm not smart, I'm gonna go see if I can pass this test. I realized, hang on a second, I'm not smart. How can I get past this? How can I get through this obstacle? I need to acquire this book 18 months in advance because it could take me 18 months to write down each page over and over again to then put it to memory. So when the question came up, I had written that question so many times down in that paper that I can recall, okay, page 71 was where I remember seeing this, and I can recall it that way. And that's how I did it. So you got to strategize on each problem you have in life. Slowly break down that problem. Don't think about all the problems you have, just one at a time. And before you know it, you fix all these problems, but you cannot focus on all of them, just on the one thing at a time. I fell back in this hole of life. The second you think that you've overcome it and you climbed Everest, you're on that last hold, and life will say, not today, and it'll push you down. And it was me against me. My pants were down to my knees. I was just, whatever was going on, I was in a bad shape. So I went to the bathroom and I went to the mirror, and the reflection in it revealed a lot of bad things. A lot of things that I was hiding behind the saggy pants. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror going like, God, dog, dude, you are something else, man. Like, you have created a character. I want to be at the cool guy table, and whatever I could do to get attention, I did. It wasn't me. It wasn't who I was inside, but I was scared for anybody to know who I was inside. So in that accountability mirror, I call it, I got real with myself. I was dumb. And people say, oh, you have a learning disability. I had a learning disability, but I realized I was lazy. I called myself out there. I called myself out every which way possible. I didn't call myself out. I was just honest. I was honest. Look at yourself, man. Look at yourself. And it was that day in a couple of days after that, I just got real with myself. And every day I came home, I called the accountability mirror. What am I going to do today to change what I see in this mirror? What am I going to do today? And a lot of it was I stopped sitting with the cool guys. I actually tucked my shirt in and went to school looking like, hey, man, this is how I'm going to look. If you don't like it, so be it. I had to really wear this layer of skin. I had to develop a really calloused skin on me to take whatever you're going to call me, you're going to call me. Whatever I'm going to be, I wasn't a geek, but whoever I am, you're going to see me. You're going to see me for who I am because I need to change who I'm not. And that accountability mirror just became raw. And when I became fat over the years, because I fell back in the hole, I called myself fat because I was fat. And people don't want to do that. They want to say, oh, don't call yourself fat. Don't call yourself dumb. If you're not real and raw with who you are, nothing's going to change. And in this nice new world that we live in, we want to hear, you're just a little big. No, man, you might be fat. And it's okay to hear that from yourself and from everybody else. So that's where it started at. And it's raw. And it gets ugly sometimes with me in the mirror. But I'm also proud of myself to be able to tell myself that and then fix what's in that mirror. So what happened in my life was we started to get, I call it like the rucksack. A rucksack is a pack that you carry in the military and you put all your stuff in it. Your radios, your food, your water, all that stuff you have to carry in the military. That's your rucksack, it's the backpack pretty much. As you're growing up, we all have a backpack. Most of ours, hopefully, is empty, and what we put in it is all the crap we go through in life. That's what is in the backpack for the civilians, and we carry it around with us. So what you have to start doing is realizing that no matter where you're at in life, my dad abused me, learning disabilities, stutters, immaturity, insecurities, self-doubt, so much crap on top of me. So much stuff. I lied a lot to create friends. So much stuff was in my backpack. No one's coming back to help me. So it starts with that person in that mirror. You have to realize you are on your own now. And whatever else you believe in, I don't care what you believe in, but on earth, it's a very lonely journey. And it starts with the accountability mirror, looking at saying, hey, my dad who beat the hell out of me is not coming back. All these things are coming back. I have to face myself. And you have to own all those things that people may have done to you. Now it's yours. You got to own it. And it's yours now to fix the problems that people did to you. It makes no sense. It's not fair. I get it. But if you live in that woe is me mentality of guess what? My dad did this to me. My mom did this to me. People who bullied did this to me. You're going to always live right there. You have to figure out ways to move forward because you're not coming back. And it starts with the mirror. I call it the accountability mirror in the book. You got to just be whoever the hell God or whoever the hell you believe in. If you believe in nothing but yourself, I don't care what it is. You got to take everything and throw it away. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself. And I'm not saying don't believe in God or what you believe in, but right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not going to find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you got to be quiet. Shut up, go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you got to go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? And a lot of us, what we do is we hide from the truth. We don't want to tell people the truth. We see people every day, loved ones, friends, family members. We see them walking around. Everybody sees them. The best thing you may ever do for someone is say, hey, guess what, brother? You're a piece of right now. You may not say it just that way, but that's what you may want to say to somebody. Look, man, I love you to death, brother, but your life sucks. You are so much better than this, man. You are so much better. I'm watching you fail and I can't do it. So the best advice I ever got was a negative comment from my grandfather. You ain't gonna amount to shit. And he didn't mean it in like a mean way. He meant it as honestly. You're allowing this world to kick your ass. And it's going to if you keep on letting it do it. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me for a long time. It sticks with me today. So a lot of people can live with themselves. That's the first thing. A lot of people can live with themselves, look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with being afraid. I'm okay with going on this easy highway over here. The easy highway has all these signs and directions how to get somewhere. You have to first be uncomfortable with how you feel about yourself. With that voice that a lot of us like to run away from, we all have it. We all have that voice that say, hey man, you know, you're kind of wimping out right now. You're kind of being a little punk right now. But a lot of us say, okay, that's okay. It's okay to tell these little white lies to ourselves. So we first have to face the real you. The real me is David Goggins. The real me is a guy looking at you right now saying, I don't want to be on this show right now because I used to stutter as a kid. And I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid that here in a second, I'm going to start stammering and stuttering and the whole world is going to know that I have all these issues. But that's when I see right now, okay, Goggins, you got to go on the show. That's Goggins. Goggins is saying, okay, David Goggins, you're a punk. Life made you this way. We can't live like this. We can't live in fear. We can't live in judgment. We can't be afraid of what the people right now are looking at me saying about me. We cannot be afraid of that. That's Goggins. Goggins saying, all of you who don't like me, and that person then comes in. I had to work at all this shit. I had to overcome, and self-discipline is everything. If you don't have it, I don't look at you right because I know you're capable of more. It's not discipline so much for me. No one's gonna come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period. I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fear I have. No matter what it is, man, these things that keep me up at night. No one, people who are hearing this, they will never really understand and grasp when you face these things and so many things, how they keep you up and haunt you at night. I didn't stop anymore from there. And I started realizing through this process that the mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. I say it all the time, you have to suffer. You have to make that a tattoo on your brain. One of the most powerful weapons I have, man, is a cookie jar. In times of need, even the hardest person forgets how badass they are. So I've been through a lot in my life. When you're going through a hard time right now, you forget all the hard you endured. So the cookie jar is a reminder that, oh, I can get through this hard time right now, but you gotta take a second or two to reach into the mental cookie jar. Let's say it's a fortune cookie. But in my mind, my mom used to buy these cookies, you know, in the cookie jar, and there's an Oreo, Chips Ahoy, whatever. That's where I got the cookie jar from. But you got to open up and say, okay, man, I was in 3 hell weeks and I got through 2 of them. You know, I was in Ranger School. I endured, I saw these beatings. My mom's soon-to-be husband got murdered. I saw a little kid's head get ran over. All these things I endured alone. I had to remind myself of the strength and the power that I have, that it's in me. It's just a reminder of how badass you are in hard times, because, you know, we just forget that bad time consumes our mind and we forget who we are. Honestly, is they have the woe is me mentality. It's too hard. Life isn't fair. These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people. Like, if you're a female, well, she's skinny and she doesn't work out as hard as I do. And everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow in realizing I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline, and this is how I'm going to run it. That's the big thing, man. And that's why it was important for me to finally realize, stop being all these fake people I used to be, stop being afraid. There was no growth. You can't build a house on the foundation. So I had to get down to the actual mineral soil of who I was, and that's when you can start real growth. It starts to peel all those layers away, all those artificial layers away. If you're willing to suffer and suffer and go back in the grind. That internal dialogue you have with yourself when you're in misery and you're uncomfortable, it's a real, scary, unfiltered, no lying dialogue between you and yourself. And people know exactly what I'm talking about when you're in a bad spot in life and your mind is saying all kind of, that's who you really are. That's the real you. No Rocky Balboa moments going on up there. You're like, hey, you know, it's around 14. Let's come on, we got this. No, it's like, I'm out of here, man. This is crazy. That's where the growth happens. When you're able to stay in that moment and talk yourself back into the suck of wherever you're going through, and you start stripping those layers away, but as you're stripping those layers away, you're building calluses in your mind. That's where the growth starts to happen, is when you have to force yourself to stay in it. You can't leave it. So a lot of people can live with themselves. That's the first thing. A lot of people can live with themselves, look in the mirror and say, I'm okay with being afraid. Is now where I'm at today. And that is, when you finally get to that point, for me, it's forever lasting peace. Greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. Mediocrity is everywhere right now. And we're all trying to find an easy way out. And we're judging ourselves. Let's say there's 10 people in this room and we're all mediocre. But I'm the best of the mediocre people. I now think I'm great. I'm great. We surround ourselves around people that make us feel great. They tell us what we want to hear. The second we put ourselves amongst the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling, that challenging feeling of that person who's waking up at 3:30 in the morning and say, hey, put your shit on, we're going for a run. We don't like that challenge. We like that person who says, hey, you know what, man, I don't feel good today, man. And they say, oh, it's okay, brother. Take a day off, man, we'll get a pizza and watch the game. We like that. We love that feeling. Why? Because you understand, man, we're good, bro. We don't want that in our lives. We don't want that person who's constantly challenging our weaknesses. Stop being a punk. We want that person who's constantly, making us feel nice and good and secure in ours. That's the mediocrity of life. We want to be the best amongst the average people. People wonder, how do you stay hungry all the time? Because after I accomplish something, I don't sit back like a lot of guys who graduate buds, graduate this, graduate that. They get comfortable. They wonder why I'm getting weak, man. I don't know, I lost my edge. What's going on? Because once you hit the top of the mountain, guess what happened? I'm good. I'm good, so you wonder why you're falling down now. Because once you reach the top of the mountain, you got to build up another one. That's mediocrity. There's a lot of people in mediocrity who have a nice resume, but they're one-timers, man. They hit a one-time deal, they busted it open, got a lot of money, but they're good. You're mediocre now, man. What are you doing today, tomorrow, the next day? That's why I don't listen to theorists. I don't listen to all that bull. That's the person who's gained knowledge. You gain knowledge through suffering. Whatever the shit is that made me nauseous and sick to my stomach, it made me hurt. There's no ending. And that's the person I listen to. And on the other end of suffering is a world that very few have ever seen. It's a beautiful world, because that's where you find yourself. You don't find yourself in over here. You find yourself on the other end. Like that 100-mile race I was on, I ran it for 24 hours. I found myself on the other end of that race. That 19 hours, I found, wow, there's a whole nother world out here that I've never even saw. But the world is in your mind. And that's what all that mediocrity is about. Mediocrity is contagious. It's an endless process. Endless process. All that shit that I went through in my life to get here today, it is tattooed. It is tattooed in my brain. Every day I wake up, I am constantly battling that person that is like, man, back in the day, this happened to you, man. Like you got caught so many times and your dad beat the shit out of you, man. And, you couldn't read and your dad going junior year. All these things start to creep up, even now where you're at today. Every day you're having to constantly battle. It's not as bad as it used to be by any means, but that person's still there. That person always lives. That's the point about it. You have to continue to always challenge yourself every day.
Growing up, I was the weakest person in the world, I thought, in my mind. And the most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. So when you think that, it becomes truth. I do believe now there's not many people on the planet who can do what I do. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for a professional sport. I don't do it for a trophy. I don't know many people who get up and get after it like I do on a daily basis for absolutely nothing. No one sees me. No one knows me. No one knows half the shit I do on a daily basis. And I don't know of anybody who would do it for nothing, just for nothing, just for pure fact of I'm trying to get harder and tougher mentally and physically every day of my life. Even though my life gave me a lot of challenges, that didn't, so people say, oh, well, how can I become hard if my dad didn't beat me, if I didn't stutter, if I wasn't called names, if I wasn't bullied, if I didn't endure all the things you endured? And yeah, all those things can make you a hard or they can make you very soft. You know, I made a choice, and those things didn't make me hard. I had to find strength within them. Where I became hard was the discipline, the self-discipline. Key word is self. Discipline is great. Self-discipline makes you a master of yourself because no one is helping you. That's where you really start to callous your mind. You callous your mind not through enduring a hard childhood or a hard life. It's enduring the things that make you uncomfortable, which is we all have this list in our head of the things that we want to stay very clear of. Some of us are afraid of heights. Some of us are afraid of getting up early. Some of us are afraid of cold water. Some of us are afraid of going to college. Whatever it may be, we have this list that we are staying very clear of. You need to get that list, put it in front of you, and start making that list the only list you go from. During this list is how you start to create the calloused mind. You're never going to be able to callous your mind by going to this magical list in the golden tool shed that makes you feel all comfortable and fuzzy inside. There's no callous there.
I'm as human can be. That's why what you see is what you get. At that moment when I was giving my speech, and I thanked my uncle for being there, and I got to my mom, it wasn't just about her. It was, I know what she went through, I know what I went through, and we got knocked down so much. I had a moment in front of all these great American heroes where I had a chance, it was like so fast, it went through me like lightning, of I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm getting an award like this. That kid who was in the fetal position, the majority of his life, and so much the fact that my body and my hip flexors are tight to this day, that even though I was standing erect, my mind was in the fetal position. And when I looked out amongst all those people, it was a sense of pride. I can't even explain. It's the moments of 3 hell weeks. It's the moments of in that room by myself studying for hours and hours and hours, trying to catch up with all the kids who are above me. It's just those moments, like the real raw moments of life that was like, boom, hit me and we're gone. But I was like, I did that. I overcame it. You know, it's like, this is power behind all that. And that's the feeling I was looking for in my life. I found it. It wasn't money, it wasn't fame, it wasn't awards. It was that feeling I have right now. The feeling of I'm about to break down, but it's not of like, oh my God, I'm upset. It's like I worked myself so hard that I turned a person this up into this right here. Not off of reading a book off a theorist, off of going to work on myself and saying, I don't know how to do this, but I know that to get over there to that side, I gotta grind myself into a fine powder. And I did it. I did it off of sure will. And very few people will know how that feels. If I don't give you all of me, why the hell am I here? Why? How will you learn from me? People take so much offense to me. You will never learn from people if we always tap dance around the truth. We tap dance around the truth by finding the right words so I don't hurt you because you have thin skin. No, tighten up, people. It's okay. Trust me, it's okay. It's okay. What are you going to do now? They don't own your life. How are you going to control that now? How are you going to flip it upside down and say, Roger that, now I'm going to harness, and you'll read about me years from now. Some are actually born with some genetic freakishness. I was not. Don't forget the first 3-4 chapters when I couldn't read as a junior in high school, where I hid out, where I got beat so badly that I became afraid of every motherfucker that ever lived on the planet Earth. Everybody. I had to reinvent a human being. I sat at home for so many nights by myself, broken, not just physically, mentally, spiritually, mental toughness, strength, power. I'm like, I didn't have any of that. But then I sat back and said to myself, I actually sat back when I was fat, nasty, out of shape, miserable, and created a human being in my mind that didn't even exist. And said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that's capable of doing exactly what I'm doing today. And you have to, if you weren't born that guy, that mentally strong guy, he can be made. Woman, man, whatever the hell you are. It can be made. But in making that person, you have to be able to turn down book deals. You have to be who you are every day of your life, and never care about anybody who gets in your way that said you're not doing something the proper way. It's all on you. It's all on you. The self part is what's big. We need someone to hold people accountable. We count on people too much to get us through. And we look to our right, we look to our left, we're looking for help. And if you can build that self, you can build that total accountability in oneself. And it's not about being selfish. I'm trying to create a better me. So hopefully people who are hearing this are taking it the right way, can say, I can run a mile. It ain't about running 205 miles, doing 4, being a city. It ain't about all that shit. It doesn't matter. I want you to see how far you can go. I didn't have a trainer. I didn't have a nutritionist. It was the self-discipline that I had. Thrive. No one said, hey man, you're 297 pounds, man. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help. Hey man, you're not smart. I'm gonna help you out. I had to work at all this shit. I had to overcome, and self-discipline is everything. And if you don't have it, I don't look at you right, because I know you're capable of more. It's not discipline so much for me. It's all on you. Easier to accept the fact that I'm just not good enough. I wasn't made to do that. And yeah, some of us can't be LeBron and James. But I tell you right now, man, we can do a lot of shit when it comes to this pure arm guts and willpower and getting through it. We have a lot more than we think we have. And this is part of the process. This is part of the journey. I had to realize this is part of my process versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough. If I'm not good enough, we always say that shit. I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And so I'm misunderstood a lot, but that's all it came down to. I made myself good enough. And the days I couldn't run that far, the next week, I would do 2-a-days on the running. If I ran a quarter of a mile, I wait a couple hours, it'd haunt me, bother me. I try to run a half a mile next time, same day. You can do more than this. If I had to walk, I had to walk. It just became just a process of grinding, and grinding's not even a good word for it. It's not even a good word for it. I wanted people to push me outside of my comfort zone every day. And I thought this was going to be the absolute best platform to do that. These guys, the stories I heard after Buds, it just gets harder. And I didn't see it that way. Buds breaks people down to the point where you don't want to be broken down again like that. To me, that was exactly the exact starting point for my journey in life. That was the starting point for me. For a lot of people, it's the finish line. And I didn't see it that way for me. So that's where I started becoming uncommon amongst uncommon people, is where I started realizing that you put people on a pedestal that you shouldn't. That you got to get in there yourself and examine people, see what's really about yourself. So once I got in there and realized, hey, these are just normal people. Yeah, they're a lot better than some. They're able to get through. I know a lot of people who can get through Navy SEAL training. But, there's a lot of mystique behind all that stuff. And as you start to go through and you start to break it open a little bit, a lot of hard guys, but, I wanted more. It's who you are. You have to undo that. And no one came down and trained me on how to be happy, how to find peace, how to do this and that. That's why I'm so glad I found it through suffering. The greater the suffer, the greater the peace I found. But you have to reflect on where you came from the dungeon of hell that I came from. I had to reflect on that to find final peace and be able to say, wow, if you die in this bed at 40 years old, I'm the happiest in the world because I did it. I pissed people off along the way. Some people don't like me, Merry Christmas, whatever. But you can finally look in the mirror and don't care what they say about you and be happy with it. I mean, it was a very scary road. A guy who was afraid of a lot of things, to then find power in fear, to find power in overcoming fear, and to get to where I'm at today, where there's very few things I'm really afraid of because I know how to control it. I know how to manage it. I know how to work it to my advantage now. It's something else, man. So I really challenge people to really do a live autopsy on your brain. And the reason why I talk about my childhood so much in this, because I don't want you to put a title on me. Because once you title me as a freak, you now put yourself in a position where you can be very comfortable in saying, it's just not possible for me. That's it. That's it. He's that guy. He's that special guy. Nope. And that's the thing that makes me so pissed off in this world, man. The only thing that gets me mad nowadays is that so many people die with untapped potential because they think that someone else is better than them. And they were born, not with the greatest tools. You need the ability to grind your ass into a fine powder. And when you're in that fine powder, find a way to build that back up repeatedly. And it's possible. Goggins saying, all of you who don't like me, who don't want to, and that person then comes in. But you have to be David Goggins and say, man, I'm afraid of this. Life made me this way here. I stutter. I have these issues with reading and writing, and I'm fat and I'm insecure. You have to face that in that dark room. In that dark room is who you are. But in that dark room is where you have to create another human being that walks out of that dark room to face who you are. That's the only way you're going to get over all those things. You have to create someone else. Not like you have two different personalities. It is you, but you have to find strength.